knowing what we know now, we know the entire draft and how it played out. And again, for the Broncos, they did not trade back. They did not trade up. They stayed with the picks to which they were assigned at the beginning of the draft. We'll start with Jerry Judy at number 1 in the first round at the 15th pick overall. Obviously, the best player in the draft from the Denver point of view. No question he is a plug-in first-day starter, Orlando.
Yeah, absolutely. With him, especially now with going back at the time of the draft, I'm saying, oh man, they should have traded up. They should have traded up to, Tristan Wirfs goes right 2 picks ahead. You
Yes.
should have traded up for him.
I agree.
But now, after watching the weekend, the flavor of this draft is that we're not going to move, right, Sandy? We're going to
Right.
stay exactly where we're at.
Right.
We're not going to move up. We're not going to move back. We're not going to make. We're not going to try to go and improve our draft position. We're just happy with these picks, and they're I'm telling you, it looks to me like they've said, "Hey, we're rebuilding this thing. We're going to draft 10 players." But with Jerry Judy, I think he comes in day one, and he's definitely going to be a starter here for the Broncos. And he's definitely going to be a good outlet for Drew Lock. And I like the pick in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue with a player. Again, you can argue with a strategy. Should they have traded up? Just 2 spots for Tristan Wirfs, not 5, not 7 or 8, not 10 or 11. Some people had Wirfs going to the Giants at number 4 overall going into this draft. So I think the opportunity was there. And I know there are people, including our own Cecil Lammy, who say, hey, he's a guard. And yet I will be willing to bet a substantial amount that the Tampa Bay Bucks, who actually drafted Wirfs, they ain't playing him at guard.
He's playing right tackle.
He's playing right tackle
Yeah.
for Tampa Bay. So I don't want to hear all this stuff about how, well, he's really a guard and he was never going to play tackle. If the Broncos had drafted him here, it would have been a total waste because they already have a right guard. His name is Graham Glasgow, and they already have a left guard. His name is Dalton Reisner. Why draft Tristan Wirfs? He's at least a much better guard than he is a tackle. That is not any kind of consensus view. People have expressed it, so it's reasonable, I suppose, to argue that he would be a better guard than a tackle. To me, that was an advantage if the Broncos had taken him, that he could play guard if need be. If your tackles are terrific this year, that Bowles plays the way he did the last 5 games and James plays 16 games or thereabouts, and you have no worries, and you're saying, why do we draft Tristan Wirfs on the first round? Our tackles are fine. Play him at one of the guard spots then.
Yeah.
Play him at one of the guard spots. In any case, apart from the strategy, listen, Jerry Judy probably overall was a top 10 player in this draft. I don't think anybody would argue with that. And in this draft, you tied a record with 36 wide receivers getting drafted. 3 by the Broncos, but 36 wide receivers out of 255 picks. More than 14% of this draft consisted of wide receiver selections. All right, that ties with 2003 for the most wide receivers picked in a draft since the annual selection meeting went to 7 rounds back in 1994. So certainly taking a wide receiver early. Hey, a lot of teams did that. 3 dozen wide receivers were drafted in this particular annual selection meeting. So makes all the sense in the world. Now we get to the interesting part. Number 46. And even the locals aren't crazy about this pick. They dip into the wide receiver pool again. KJ Hamler from Penn State.
Yeah, I hate this pick, Sandy. I'm just going to call it what it is. And when you're sitting there at 46 and you got Trayvon Diggs still on the board, I think that you go with the dominant cornerback that can play press man-to-man coverage, something that you really don't know. You got a pool of cornerbacks on this team, and nobody has said, hey, let me take over this number 2 cornerback position. You did trade for A.J. Bouye, but the verdict's still out on him. You know, is he going to be able to be the AJ Bouye that you saw in the first year of with Jacksonville and what you saw also in Houston, or are you going to see the last couple years in Jacksonville where he kind of struggled out there? So for me, you know, you already got your number one wide receiver in Cortland Sutton. In the first round in this year's draft, you draft Jerry Judy at 15. You paid Melvin Gordon so much money to come here, right? And on top of that, you got Phillip Lindsay. And last year, you used a pick on the first round for a tight end. You don't go wide receiver at number with your second round pick this year. You go get better quality guys for that defense. And like I said, my guy would have been Trayvon Diggs. I would have loved to seen him in a Broncos uniform.